Coming up on The Weekend View.
Former Euphoria star Barbie Ferreira reveals the biggest lesson she learned in therapy and how she made one therapist break down in tears.
You think Joy's done that too?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, probably. Plus, you won't believe how many people are so desperate to separate their work and personal lives that they'd line up for that brain surgery in the show Severance.
Wow. And find out why fans are concerned that Ben Affleck's having a midlife crisis.
It all starts now on The Weekend View.
To The Weekend View. Okay, so former Euphoria star Barbie Ferreira recently stopped by ex-bachelor Nick Viles. What a name, Nick Vile?
I love him. You would like him.
I think it's Ville. Anyway, here's a podcast to promote her new movie, Bob Trevino Likes It, where she talked about what an emotional experience therapy has been, and not just for her. Watch.
You made a therapist cry.
I have.
Okay.
And it was very awkward. It was our first session ever, too. So I was like, okay, you know, therapist, you got to date. You know, I had this great therapist in New York who I love, and she was such a wonderful person in my life. And, you know, when I moved to LA 6 years ago, I've still been, you know, dating therapists here and there. I haven't found, I mean, I have a good one that I like, but it's just like, I haven't found the one that I'm like, oh, this is the person. And maybe this is the one that I have right now is the person, but it's like, it feels like dating.
She made the shrink cry, apparently.
Have you done something like that, Joy?
To my therapist?
Yeah.
Well, she's dead so many years now.
Has a therapist ever made you cry?
No. No, actually, no.
No, but she makes a good point, though, that not therapy, like doctors and different services, they're not all great. You have to kind of shop for the right therapist
Yeah,
for
but
you.
how do you know until you get in the sessions? You
Well,
don't know.
I had one horror story of it. I think I shared this with some of you. I tried a new therapist in New York, and I basically poured my heart out for about an hour, and at the end of it, she's like, by the way, I know who you are, so, like, I know who you're referring to. And I was like, what?
Oh, no.
She
Totally
should have, at the
inappropriate.
front end, said, hey, let's
Get
be,
rid
you
of
know,
her.
I know, so I just kind of broke the trust.
No.
I never went back to her.
We have a friend that we share, I won't name names, who at the end of a few sessions, the therapist hit on him.
Oh, yeah.
no.
That's really
Wow.
bad.
That's so
But it's not
inappropriate.
just like, you can't always tell with a therapist. As someone who I feel therapy has like saved me multiple times, it's not just one session. And there's no magic number, but you have to give it a little bit of time. Like usually with a date, you kind of know, do I want to see him again? Do I not?
Yeah.
With a therapist, you have to be patient. And it's like an expensive patience.
That's an well, I've never been in therapy. I think neither has Anna.
I went once. I'll tell you the
he
story
went once.
afterwards.
So, but
I want my money
have,
back.
I have a lot of friends that are in therapy, and this one friend of mine calls me up, and she's like, you know, I just had a teletherapy appointment, and my therapist had like a huge black eye.
Oh, no.
And I was like, well, where did the black eye come from?
Yeah.
Is she suffering from like domestic violence or something? And she said, no, my therapist said that she fell off the wagon after 20 years, and she fell on her face, and so she would have to
Oh, wait, so she drank or something?
she was drinking too much, and so she fell on her face and got the black eye, and so she would have to cut the therapy session short because she had to go to a therapy session. And so then I thought that was probably not a good therapist. Right?
You think?
At that point, I would like say the internet connection has broken. I can't hear you, or
it's not
you know,
gonna
I'm
work
done. I
out.
want my money back. But I went to therapy. I went to couples counseling, to a therapist, a couples counselor once, right after we were married. I've told you guys this story. So Al, right after we were married, came home with these like enormous paintings.
Oh, the money.
He spent a ton of money on.
I saw
So he
them.
came with these enormous paintings
Yeah.
for our house that he spent our money on without telling our.
They were big.
And
They were
I
big.
was ready to.
What's this got to do with therapy?
Because we went to a. Because
That's how mad she was.
Because
That's how
I
upset
really
she
thought
was.
if I had to talk to him one-on-one, I would
Yeah.
kill him. So
I see.
I got a therapist, you know, so that she could like mediate. And
There were
she,
boxes everywhere in
Oh,
your
it was
house.
horrible. And she let
That's a lot.
she made us go into like an agreement. She refereed an agreement that, if he ever spent this amount of money again, he would have to get my okay, which of course he violates the agreement on a daily basis. And so that was that
was
for
that
me on
helpful?
therapy.
But that was probably
But
helpful.
you might
It
need to
kept
go
me from
back to the
killing him.
therapist.
I mean, it kept me. I think if I had had a one-on-one conversation, I would have strangled him. I
Yeah,
really
you were
would have.
upset about
which
that.
would
I
have been
remember
terrible because then I would have been in jail. And that
So
would not have
what
been.
she's saying is it could have been worse.
If you're telling the therapist a very sad story about yourself and that's
And they
happened
start
to you,
laughing,
no,
lose
and they
them.
and they start crying. I mean,
No.
doesn't that show some level of empathy?
I love that.
Like if you're
No.
telling them that you're like
No.
that you were left orphan, whatever the hell.
No,
But
They're
that
like professionals. They're not supposed to.
they're not supposed to show any emotion.
Oh no, I would prefer a little emotion if I am going
Really?
yes, because I want to know they are hearing and experiencing. They don't have to cry, but I need them
let me
to
clear
feel.
this up right now.
So therapists are not
If you
supposed to
wait-
show any emotion.
That's not true. They can show emotion. They have empathy for you,
Yeah.
but they're not allowed to merge with you.
Yes, I agree with that.
I love a merge.
Your misery is not their misery.
Right, right.
They can show empathy, but they are separate people. You don't want somebody merging with you and crying with you.
Yeah, that's not good.
unless-
Anyway,
maybe a little.
I'm peeling the onions and you're crying.
Yeah.
Okay, Barbie also talked to people about how she started out on her career path early and didn't really have a map. Well, who does? Watch.
I knew what I wanted from a very young age, and I didn't grow up in a Hollywood family by any means or anything like that. So for me, I just had no plan B. I trust my gut a lot. And that was something that I had to really like work my way up into, like the confidence and being like, I know this isn't gonna work, but I want to do it anyway, just because I don't know enough, right? So as I get older and as I become, as I get really into like my craft and my career, and I really have like, I know what I want at the end of the day. I just make sure that everything I do is towards that.
So tell me about that. I'm interested in your past lives. Did you have a plan to be, a co-host on The View?
No.
What was your plan?
I was a lawyer. I was
Yeah,
a
we
federal
know.
prosecutor. Yeah. When I put on my legal hat, no, I would have. I think I would have continued to do that
Yeah.
probably.
But didn't you have a
I liked
goal? You
it.
had wanted to do something in TV journalism.
I had a journalism degree, and no one would hire me. So I went to law school, and I really enjoyed that career very much.
What
And
did you enjoy about being a lawyer? It seems to me the most boring
Oh
job.
no, it's
She's
so
helping
good. I
people.
was a federal prosecutor. I was in court every day, and I felt like I was helping people's lives because I put away in prison sex offenders and human traffickers.
Well, that part, like on Law
child
and Order,
sex offenders.
those type of cases I could see, but to study those torts,
But I
could not.
Law school is so interesting.
This week we had on the show the young girl, the actress.
Marcy Martin?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And she talked about how she knew what she wanted to do since she was practically from
little.
birth. Like she came out of the womb
Yeah.
wanting to be an actress. I speak at a lot of colleges, and a lot of times young people want to know what is the path to get on TV, or what is the path to be in politics. They want like a formula of the shortest path from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And what do you tell them?
I tell them not to take for granted the beautiful detours that sometimes life offers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you are so focused on going from point A to point B, you might sometimes life is a little bit more of a winding road,
Yes.
and you might miss other opportunities
true.
that are there
Totally
for
And
you.
what is that? Yeah. What is that saying about? How do you make God laugh? Show him your plans.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think it's that merging of having ideas of things that fulfill you, but also being open to what life presents you.
Yeah.
Because it really is hard work meets opportunity to get to where you are, and those options aren't always there. I always thought I'd be a teacher because I really, really wanted to teach, and I, as a Virgo, I had a plan B, C, D, and E for sure that I was ready for, because you just always have a backup plan. And nothing in this business is for sure.
It's for yeah,
Right,
nothing's
and
certain.
So few paths are linear these days, and I think it changes even more with technology. Just the fact that the way this industry is fundamentally different than it was 10 years ago, so you can't even really plan for where it'll be 5 years.
What did you want to do, Alyssa?
I wanted to work in politics, so that I was kind of the path that I was
perfect.
And then you did that. And you didn't know you wanted to be a comedian,
when I was
right?
around close to 40. I had been a teacher. I had worked in many different jobs. I was an employment counselor, which I would be laid off now because it was for the state. And then I got a divorce, and then I had a near-death experience, which I've talked about. I had an ectopic pregnancy, and then I got fired from my job at Good Morning America. It was like
You were bad at it,
was a trifecta.
Yeah.
Well, I was overqualified to answer phones because I had
executing.
and I was horrible as a receptionist, and I know that. So then I said, well, what shall I do? I could either become a shrink
You could have
done that.
or a stand-up comedian. Now, I needed money.
Yeah.
The stand-up comedian sounded like I could make money faster, and it was correct.
Oh, you're right.
By the time I became a shrink, I'd be 80 years old.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
you
well,
gotta
what
go to
did you
medical
say
school.
your problem was?
It doesn't mean you are that now, and that's not how you
But you
sound.
still do it now.
that's not.
She gives all of us therapy.
I would like to have been a therapist, but I didn't want to be alone in a room with them, though.
Do you think you could keep yourself? Do you think you could keep your emotions in check though when people are telling you things?
When I'm as a shrink?
Yeah, she's.
When
When do you feel emotion?
Yeah. You're very blunt, but I appreciate that.
I'm blunt because I tell them, look, am I too blunt? Clap if you think I am.
I like
Are you, they like it. The audience likes it,
I
right?
tend to like that as well.
Yeah, I am
Direct.
blunt.
Wait till you're on the receiving end.
She gives good advice too, though.
I am often on the receiving end. Often.
You give good advice.
Listen, so I didn't become a therapist, but I think if I had to do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same way.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So there we go. Now, if you don't watch the streaming show Severance, it's about a company that gives employees a procedure that erases all memories of their personal life. Hey, I'd go for that. While they're at work, and leaves no memory of their work life when they leave the office.
Yeah.
Creepy, right? But possibly effective. So a new survey found that 35% of workers and about half of Gen Z, they would voluntarily get that procedure.
Give them
What was
time.
it? 31%, I think I just read,
35,
right?
yeah. 35%.
35. Okay, so there are some days I'd like to forget what happened at this table.
Yeah.
But would you do that?
I would absolutely never do it. Every job I've ever been able to do was because of the people around me. It's the best part of the jobs I've had. That's what the
That's true.
depression that I was sent into during the pandemic. I was like, you mean I have to work without people? Like, how will I do this?
Oh,
it
I
didn't
would
matter
do it in
what
a minute. I'm sorry,
No.
girl.
So Zooming didn't do it for you.
No, Zooming was the most lonely, awful, like,
It was
I'm
so
a toucher.
good. It
I'm a
was so
toucher.
good.
I need
She
to
liked
feel
it.
You
people.
only had to dress
You
from the
liked it,
waist
too.
up.
I know.
You could drink at 12 o'clock. You can binge movies.
She's
you
right.
could do anything. I would do this in a second.
Oh no, I would do a narrow severance. Like if I could forget the bad things or the stress of work when I'm at home, or if I'm fighting with my husband, I could forget that when I'm here. But I don't want to be sitting at work and can't think of like my husband and my dogs. That would be so
Oh,
devastating.
it'd be easy.
Well, you know, the thing though, like for us, who we often talk about politics, you know, particularly during the week, it's very hard right now to separate it, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like we can't go home and watch The Real Housewives or watch the cooking channel all
Alyssa
day.
does. Alyssa
That's
does.
perfectly fine.
She does it.
Yeah, but you also have to watch news because you have to come in the next
Well,
day
yeah.
and talk about the
She does.
daily events.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
we know
So-
she does.
So we can't separate. Yeah, but my point is,
Yeah.
we can't. You know, we can't turn off completely
So you
when
would
we
get
go
the
home.
surgery, right?
No. I'm not getting any surgery other than cosmetic at this point in my life.
Well, let's talk about that.
necessary
Wait, before
surgery.
we go, what cosmetic surgery
what
would you
would you
get?
do?
That's a good topic.
Honey, please, I could upholster a couch with the things that are hanging off of me right now. And since they haven't put a tariff on surgery yet, that might be the one thing that we can still do.
They will.
But
They
you
will.
guys, like, we're lucky enough to have a job that I think we
all
all
love
love.
our jobs,
But
yeah.
we've all had jobs we didn't love. And without the family or the purpose of the people you're doing
Yeah.
it for, those
Yeah.
days you have to put your head down and just make rent. That, if I had a severance, I'd be like, why the hell are we here?
Yeah,
like, this
right.
is awful.
Yeah, you need
Like,
the purpose to
the
motivate
purpose.
you.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know.
All right.
Bill?
We'll be
Yeah,
right back.
Bill,
Let
give
them
me
talk
time, girl.
amongst themselves. But we'll be back in a minute.
The Weekend View is sponsored by Rock Skincare, clinically proven.
And the hot topics keep coming. Now, Sonny, I know how emotionally invested you are in the Ben Affleck and the J-Lo
I
saga.
am, because it's probably true love.
So, well, that's what you've been saying, so prepare yourself.
Okay.
Fans are worried that the split has put Ben into a midlife crisis.
Told you. True love can do that.
No, she's going to double down.
She's not letting this go.
No, she will not let it go.
Apparently, he showed up at Comic-Con with a freshly dyed new hairstyle and beard.
Wait, what does he look?
He looks great. I'm sorry, what are we
Okay.
complaining about?
Does that look like a man in crisis, or do men try to knock a few years off by getting rid of some gray
If
hairs?
that's what a man in crisis looks like, give me a crisis.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but do you
looks
guys
pretty
remember?
good.
It's not the color of his beard. It's every still shot of his face over the last 10 years. Every time you saw a picture of him, he was like,
Just
remember when he was
just
with her and there was like
happy.
always the caption, this photos?
But you know, I'll say something about J-Lo. Like she gets these men, right, who might be a little out of shape, maybe smoking, maybe going through drinking. She cleans them up. When she leaves them, they look so good. But you know, like I'm married to a man who's basically had like 3 stages in life, right?
Yeah.
Infancy, adolescence, and midlife crisis.
Which one were you in?
No, but I've been in midlife
been in
crisis.
all
He's
of
been in
them.
a midlife crisis for like 40 years. I'm midlife crisis. But he, you know, and I don't know why we only say this about men, because like, don't you think women also have midlife
I started
crisis?
with a
course.
quarter life crisis.
I like how we're going after him because he dyed his hair. Like, what do women do to look younger? There's no amount of money I won't pay to
We
slow
do
aging.
everything.
Exactly.
But when a man
everything.
does it, there's something weird about it. I know this sounds
he's also an
sexist.
actor.
but don't
though,
they
you guys,
just
he could be
usually
doing a
like
role.
buy a car, like an expensive
Fine.
sports car?
But when they start to dye their hair, they don't look as good as women because they don't wear makeup. Makeup and the hair dye go together.
I think the
Al
dyeing
bought
of
one of those cars that, what's the name of the cars that James Bond drives?
Oh, yeah.
Aston.
And
Aston Martin.
Yeah, and it was impossible. I mean, these cars are ridiculous. 'Cause
Yeah.
you know the cars that you drive, like in the
What
with
are
the
you
wheel.
doing?
That's how you drive the car. You turn it on. You do everything in the wheel. You don't. It has no shifts. Everything's on the wheel. He almost killed himself with his car.
Yeah. I
And
think
went
they
back to
buy-
the dealership.
Yeah,
Thank you
men buy
very much.
cars or date women
They-
like 30 years.
See, my
younger.
husband did something different in his. I believe he went through a midlife crisis,
Yeah.
but he took up like extreme sports, which was like a weird thing to me.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden he's like CrossFit, and he's doing all this CrossFit. Then he did like running in the mud with people.
Oh, Tough Mudder?
Tough Mudder.
I love it.
Then he
Tough
ran in the mud with people, and then he took up extreme biking. Like 100, like he bikes like
BMX?
100 miles
How long
a
did that
week.
last?
He's still doing it.
That's good,
Like
though.
100
That keeps you young.
But it's weird.
Unless you break
Brian, would you dye your hair?
A lot.
You know, I had no gray hairs when I started working here, not a single one. And then I started going gray a couple of years ago, and I said to my wife, "What do you think? Should I dye my hair?" And she said, I'm not going to tell you that you need to, but if you're going to do it now before it's very obvious." And then that time has passed.
And you know, and also do it right with high
Do it
quality
well.
stuff. Because for some reason, have you noticed that a lot of men dye their hair black and it's like orangey?
But that's the problem. They don't.
You all have noticed.
It doesn't look good.
They want to do it, they just don't want to pay for it.
Some of them are getting hair transplants now too.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that-
Turkey.
Yeah,
They're going to
Oh,
Turkey.
well,
when I went to Turkey, there was all these men.
You can have a receding hairline. In White Lotus, he
Yeah.
looks great with
He
the
looks- he
receding
looks pretty
hairline.
But men get away with everything. Come on.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
those love handles that can be on the floor. They don't care.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Manny also did a marathon. No, triathlon.
Yeah.
What,
A friend of mine says
A lot of extreme
A friend of
sports.
mine says a man can be toothless, penniless,
Yeah.
and impotent, and he's still an eligible bachelor.
That's
a
true.
woman, you know, can be successful, beautiful, and 40, and she's an old maid.
And she scares a man too with that. It can be scary to men when you're that good looking and that smart and
need
that
a
put
confident
together a
man,
lot of
that's
times.
all.
You need a confident man.
Confident
yeah.
man.
In search of a confident man. We'll be right back.
With teeth and virility.
The Weekend View is sponsored by Rock Skincare, clinically proven.
So, Brian Tedder, our beloved executive producer, sat down with the charming and brilliant and possibly blunt guests this week on the Behind the Table podcast, and here's what we talked about. Watch. Bernie turned 8 yesterday.
How about that?
My little Bernie.
I also want to point out that, because I feel like it's been forgotten to history, I named Bernie Behar.
You
were
did.
trying to come up with
You
names,
did.
and I came up with it.
I know. The pathetic thing about you, though, is that you need credit for the dumbest things.
I do, but this is not there. This is literally Bernie is the most important or second most important thing in your life.
But it seems like it's one of the most important things in your life.
I
that
impacted
named
you.
him.
I did. I had a huge impact on the culture. Bernie's a star. If you had named him something else, maybe he wouldn't be.
You want to know what happened? So
Yeah.
listen to this. I'm at an event with Hillary Clinton a few years ago.
Ooh, what are you,
All right?
Anna Navarro with the name drops? Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm in television 28 years. I know a few people, too.
I know. I'm just teasing Anna.
I know you are.
I'm just going all the way in.
But anyway, I'm at this event with Hillary, and this friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
so she's a friend. I know her. She's a very nice person. She comes up to us, and she says to Hillary, who she knows also, you know, Joy. This was she was talking about the what do you call that before the election? The primary. She says, you know, Joy voted for Bernie. So Hillary goes, oh, that's nice. You know, like she didn't give a damn really.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what are you talking about? I didn't vote for Bernie. I voted for Hillary, thinking he was talking about the election. And this woman goes, well, she named her dog Bernie. I said, look, if it was a female, I would have called her Hillary. But the dog is a male. Now, a third friend of mine, when I told him this story, said he would have dropped that person because that was so out of line. What do you think?
Drop her.
I don't want to drop her. I like her.
Oh, well, then don't drop her.
I don't hold grudges like some people.
No.
Like Anna Navarro, for example. Here's the thing with Anna. She cannot believe that I don't remember who said mean things to me.
Yes, I know.
Talk to her about that.
No, she likes that. She likes.
She admires it
getting you
because
on.
she's
Yeah.
the opposite.
Right.
It's easier to be an enemy of mine because I won't remember it. The other two, by the way,
Yes.
Sarah and Alyssa,
Mm-hmm.
they just told me that they enjoy my roasting them, which I do constantly.
Yes.
They
and
enjoy
Sonny
it.
does too, I think.
Sonny loves it.
Yeah. No. They
But
all,
these other two are good too.
Yeah, I think they all.
Particularly Sarah.
It's an honor to be roasted by you, I think.
But I mean, Anna, I do tease Anna too, which she sort of likes that.
Sure.
She thinks it's a compliment. You think it's a compliment when I call you putana?
So putana is slut in Italian.
Yeah, and puta in Spanish.
Niña, por favor. This is a morning show. Isn't this thing on at 7:30 in the morning?
But also 9:30 and 12:30.
Right, don't forget, this goes on
Okay,
forever.
first of all, I want to know, here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Why do you all speak about me on your podcast every single week? I mean, it's like
You're like my Roman Empire. You're always on my mind.
I mean, it's like a
Like the
freaking
Mean Girls.
obsession.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
No, I heard that you were speaking about me on your podcast.
Oh,
That's what I
do
say
we have
about
some
her.
beef to unpack?
I can't remember. Who knows? Who can keep
Whatever,
track
I
of
don't
all the
care.
beef?
Say whatever you want.
You really don't hold
she
it.
doesn't- she doesn't
I
hold a
noticed.
grudge.
That's why you look so good.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Literally, that's why you age well.
That
You're
and
not-
Botox.
Yeah, you're not
You do
stewing.
not hold a grudge, and you tease, but I don't
I don't
mind
think
it.
grudges help you at all.
No, they eat the person that carries. It's like
It just
drinking
works
poison and
against
hope
you.
the other
The other
person
person
dies.
is not thinking about you.
That's
right.
You're thinking
That's
about
right.
the other
You're giving
But
person.
them
Anna
energy.
Navarro likes to remind me of everybody who's ever dissed me on
Yes.
this show, for example.
She does.
No names.
Yes.
So remember when
Nobody
so-and-so-
needs you to name anybody.
Whenever so-and-so says, blah, 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 and I don't remember it. And then,
Then do
Because
you
let
get
me tell you
upset?
something. You get to breach my trust once.
Yeah,
That's me.
yeah.
wow, she's like
She
the
holds a
mafia.
grudge. She does.
She's like a little mobster.
Yeah, I would have been great at that.
She does. She holds a grudge.
I would have been great at
I would
that.
have been great at that.
And let's just clear something up, because I do tease you all and roast you all.
It's funny though.
You don't mind?
No.
No, it's literally
All
like
right,
Regina
good.
George. She
Yeah.
once punched me in the face, and it
Punch
was
me again.
awesome.
At any rate, you can catch the beloved Behind the Table podcast wherever you stream your podcasts, or you can watch us on YouTube. Have a great day, everyone, and take a little time to enjoy
The weekend view.